What's up, FishTube? Bearded Bob again. Do a quick, well, it's not gonna be quick. We're gonna do a July update. Sound good? I hope so. Check out this view here. I posted a video that I made like this on just a quick video on my Instagram account, Bearded Bob's Fishroom on Instagram. Go check that out if you want to. If you don't, I don't really care. But so we'll just start over on this corner of the fish room. And in this tank we have the orange Neos. Again, these all mostly came out of my yellow Neo tank. So I don't know if there's a mutation in there that threw us some orange, or if this is what people are calling 24 karat. But pulled them all out, stuck them in here. Also stuck a couple of, there's some orange Rileys. I have some really nice photos of one of them on my Instagram page. Again, if you want to go there, go ahead. If you don't, I don't care, whatever. But, so that's the oranges. We got some Bacopa in the back, just some moss, some Crypts, more moss, cholla wood, cool looking cholla wood, turned purple. Pretty cool. The other thing we did, I think I did an update on this, was I stuck these guys on. So this is where the water comes into the tank now from the pump down below. Still overflows out the back. I still can't get those pieces of PVC off the back of there because all the other tubes and lines and airline and all that stuff run through it all, because I'm smart like that. So that's that. We also threw a couple of extra filters on because when I changed stuff down below, we had a lot of sediment flowing through everything. So I just threw these two little 10-gallon filters on here just to add some extra filtration, get rid of some of the gunk that was floating around in the tanks. I did not algae scrub any of these tanks either. So there you go. That's an awesome update, huh? And you can see my shirt in the background, so that's even better. Nice glare. So these are the Blue Dream Blue Dream Neos. There are some really good quality ones that came in with this order. I got these from eBay. Got 10 of them as juveniles, and they came in pretty good. I lost one about a couple weeks after I had him in this tank, but otherwise they've been doing very well in here. Again, lots of moss. This tank I've got that AR plant, a couple of Crypts again, and then 10 of these Blue Dreams, and then snails. And you know, there's probably some duckweed. Yep, there it is. Duckweed in that tank too. This other 10-gallon tank, we have the Lucas Brett's line, supposedly. We'll find out when these get a little bigger. This is supposed to be the Rainbow Tiger Endlers. Got these off of eBay too. They came in as babies. I mean, fry, just born fry. And a lot of them didn't make the transit. The rest of these guys, I think there is 6 in this tank, doing okay. 2 of them have started to show some coloration on the tail. You can see the 2 right by the moss there right now. Both have yellow on their tails. So it's starting to come through. Some of them are still pretty small. I'm hoping we have the rest of these are all going to be female. Wouldn't that be great? But we'll see. Again, same kind of setup as the last 10-gallon tank I just showed you, except for I threw some water wisteria here and in the back just to grow it out, get some covering for the fry. This one is holding on to its duckweed pretty well because it doesn't have the external filter on there. I just have water going in through this tube and then water running out the back. And then everything from these 3 tanks here overflows down behind and gets dumped into here. So I went online to Flip Aquatics because it's the only place I could find one of these matin filters, and came in. Shipping was a little expensive, but you know, I'm willing to help out another hobbyist, or guy that started out in the hobby anyways. Threw that matin filter in here, kind of pushed my media over to one side, put the pump on that side too, and then on this side I still have the sponge filters going, but eventually one at a time those will all come out. I already pulled one today, and then I took all of this stuff growing in here is just Ludwigia repens. I cut a lot of it back and planted it down in the substrate. I added a 20-pound bag of Complete to the bottom. I did have to add, so I've got one of those Finnex heaters that has the digital control, or the analog controller outside of the tank. Super nice, but for the amount of gallons running through this setup, it just wasn't enough to keep up. It was only keep my tanks at about 72. So I threw in one of these, you know, cheap Chinese heaters here. I see the listing for it on Amazon is gone. You can't buy those anymore, so that's awesome, huh? So a matin filter, and then like I said, we'll pull one of these sponge filters out about every 2 weeks or something. I'm just making sure that this matin filter gets nice and seated, and then this will be the main filtration for the whole setup. So I added another piece of pipe and extended my overflow so it comes in on this side, otherwise it was just going to dump right on the same side, not filter. And then when I ordered that matin filter, he included this piece of pipe, nicely cut, you know, 45 up there. Water flows pretty well. I just stuck an air stone down there. He had really drilled a hole so you could put your airline tubing in there. While I don't think this is really needed, I kind of wanted to check it out and test it because I've never done anything like these filters, but I really like it. I think I might look into doing this in the future for another like a bunch of 10 gallons and just have this, and obviously no water flowing out of the tanks. But there's that. I just rearranged everything in here today, but the substrate's been in for about 2 weeks, I think. I don't know. For some amount of time. Then we got our 40-gallon breeder stocked with a billion guppies, and they're always hungry. Always. Today also I did a giant rescape of this tank. Before I had all this moss. There's two different types of moss in here, and they were coming right through the middle of the aquarium. And underneath it, I just had a giant rock pile, just kind of you know, about rocks about that size, little, not really round, some of them round, just kind of landscaping things, stuff from Home Depot or Menards rather. And pulled all those out because this originally was set up for my red shrimp. And that didn't pan out. I only had one of those left, and now she's in with the cull shrimp tank. So there's no more shrimp in this tank, so I decided to rip out all those rocks. I don't need that rock pile in there. I had some spare driftwood sitting around, plus there was a couple of pieces inside this tank that you couldn't see because they were covered in moss. I kind of shoved those all to the back, and then added in one more big piece of driftwood there. And then just picked up this whole, all this moss just picked up as one giant mat, and it was, you know, probably half the size of the aquarium front. It was big. So I kind of tucked it all around and behind and stuff, and that's what it looks like now. It's finally starting to clear up in here after about 8 hours. The guppies really loved it because when I moved those rocks, there was a ton of like brown diatom algae just living underneath that mat of algae and the rocks and stuff. So they've been eating diatom algae all day, and they're loving it. Moved some plants around, did some trimming of this Hydra, and also found I had a ton of pieces of that one's Java Fern needle leaf, but I had a bunch of smaller pieces of Java Fern. Some still stuck to wood, some kind of just floating. Some were underneath this mat, tucked into the rocks, and they're still viable. So that was pretty interesting find. I did have this Anubias fraseri or whatever it is, also, but it was tucked in this back corner, and it was completely covered by this Hydra. This Hydra kind of just took over this whole backside of the tank, and the root mass was bigger than my hand when I pulled it out, so it was pretty nice. And so we didn't move any plants out of this tank. We just moved them around. Actually, no, I take that back. We did move some plants out of this tank. definitely moved a ton of water wisteria that was growing back behind all this stuff to other tanks. We left some pieces floating in here, kind of piece in the back there. We turned this heater sideways so it was actually functioning. It was just sitting straight up and down before, and it wasn't really doing much. Took the opportunity to put our handy thermometer, digital thermometer, you know, hanging nicely on the side of the glass. Cleaned out the filters, moved this heater up a little ways. Another one of those heaters I got from Amazon. Stuck in a piece of Ludwigi in here just because I don't have any in this tank, and most of my tanks I pretty much have everything in them. So there's Bacopa and some that Anubias, excuse me, and then these Crypts. A couple of different kinds of Crypts. I don't know what kind of Crypt that is there, but these have never done much of anything, or so I thought, until I dug up their root masses, and both of these were pretty small plants. They're only about this big around, flat to the ground, and the root system stretched from this corner, I mean halfway across the tank probably. Both of them just, I mean, spread out all over the place. And well, here's some more Java fern. I'm not sure, I don't think that's needle leaf, doesn't look like it. A little bit too broad. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe that's the same as that one there. More Crypts. Some of that AR Cardinalis. And I think that's it for this tank. Just the billions of grow out guppies, and then I did throw all of the guppies and cories and neon tetras that were in my 30-gallon tank. All of them ended up in here, including the giant females that that basically they made all of these babies. There's 3 of those females left out of 8 that I started with originally in here, and so that's that. Here's the next tank down is starting to look pretty nice, I think. These guys are all growing up really good. They all have really nice patterns and tails. Eventually I will sort these out and breed them to come up with some kind of a strain. You know, what I was originally going for was Dumbos, and a lot of the males that were born here kind of have a little bit of black on their pectoral fins, but not as much as this original guy did. So he's kind of in the center of the frame right there, swimming towards the back, going up, whatever. And then I threw my at a pleco in that 30-gallon tank too. So we put the pleco in here. Oh, you can actually see him in the back there. See his nose sticking up, just a bushy nose, bristle nose, whatever, and cistrus. Tucked in the back there by the filter. I don't think we threw any plants in here from that 40-gallon rescape above. Maybe just some other stuff. We got some of that Ludwigi in there and stuff. We got a really nice bronze crypt growing over here. More of that AR, and I got some Styrogene Repins just to see what it'll do. Not much. This is Micro Sword down in the front here. This came out of that 30-gallon too. And that's that tank. Go to the 55. This is the Yellow Neo Colony. And these guys are doing really good. Again, some more Styrogene Repins. Some more Hydra, AR Cardinalis. A couple of different kinds of mosses. You can finally start seeing my Java fern is starting to come back. Originally, I bought like one nice piece and kind of split it up, and all of it was dying. And they all had little baby pieces on them, so after those adult plants died, I picked off all the little babies and then have just been shoving them in corners, and I'm guessing I shoved a bunch of them down behind all of this wood and stuff, just barely sticking out, but this moss has grown in so bad, or so good, I should say, that kind of covered them up, but you can see them starting to poke out now. And there's a bunch tucked in back there. And then we got a new piece of Anubias. This is just Anubias Nana right back there. We got more AR or whatever. duckweed filter. Duckweed. Got some water wisteria floating in here. It's starting to stem out. Starting to get some stem or some roots on it, I should say. This is another Ludwigia palustris, but in my tanks it doesn't do well. I decided to stick it in this tank because this tank seems to grow plants, where other tanks it takes a lot longer. So there's, well, it's starting to get a little new piece coming up there in the substrate. You see it just poking out. Again, in this one, cholla wood. There's another Java fern, but this is a oh boy, why can't I can never think of it when I'm doing a video. Well, you know what it is. If you don't, look it up. Java fern types. There's needle leaf, there's regular Java fern, there's this one, and then there's trident Java fern as well. I suppose we haven't really seen any shrimp. I've been doing some pretty heavy culling out of this tank too. I think I just moved about 15 to a cull tank, and these ones, well, most of these are really good quality. Something just happened on my phone. Ooh, look at that, more Java fern just found its way to be sitting right there. Look at this moss. It's just growing along the substrate, just along the bottom, underneath all this stuff. That's pretty cool. More shrimp there on the back on the filter. And I do use these sponges on everything. I get these on Amazon too. But and then my nice pile of bronze crypts. I'm really liking how these look in this tank. I'm gonna step back and get a better shot of those, along with some of that AR kind of poking up in between them all. I think it looks pretty nice. We have, ooh, let's see, this is finally going to get this guy on camera, if my shirt wasn't in the way. So this has a snorkel on it like a assassin snail, and I've had assassin snails in this tank before, but I've never seen one that was this color. Maybe I just don't know what color they're supposed to be. I thought they were all black and white, but this one is like a green shell, and he has a really long body on him. Try to get rid of this glare and get closer, but come on. No, it's not gonna. Oh, you can get a little bit of it. It's really cool when he's on the glass. You can see back there behind everything. I got one of the autos playing in the weeds, and then there's a bristlenose, an albino bristlenose in here too, somewhere hanging out, hiding. There's two of my autos right there. There's only 3 left in this tank, but you can kind of get a glimpse behind all the driftwood. I left enough space back there where everybody can kind of roam and feel safe, and these guys like to hang out back here. Most times they're back behind here, but there's another pile of shrimp. Notice the autos really like these shrimp pellets that I get, or shrimp tablets. Oh geez, and somebody wants to say hi to the camera. And then in this tank, this was holding the goldfish for a while. He's sitting in the 30-gallon right now, just until I take that tank down, since, you know, it's probably a better. Yeah, hi. Okay. So this 20-gallon tall. Ugh, come on, cat. Just a hodgepodge of plants, some moss. Most of the stuff came out of the 30-gallon tank, and I just transferred it over here. I see one piece of hydro or two is floating. I gotta replant that. But this is gonna just be set up for shrimp, I think, for now. I do have some really nice green shrimp coming out of my cull tank. I'm gonna put them in here and see what kind of a line I can make out of that. Another experiment. I don't know how well that's gonna go or not, but we'll see. Okay, hi Gita. And we're back. No. So let's see. we'll touch on this one quick. This is the 30-gallon tank. 30. This is a 20-gallon tank. I don't know why I said 30. I do that a lot though. If you watch my channel for any length of time, I don't know what I'm talking about. So here's a pile of shrimp. Let's see if it'll focus on here. Oh boy. And you can see some of those greens. Here's some right there in the center of the frame. And these are all bred in this tank. And there's some snowball ones in there. There's some yellow Rileys in there. There's some chocolates in there. There's a bunch of wild types. I do have had one purple in this tank. I haven't seen her in a while, but I'm hoping that that's still kicking around because that was pretty cool. Some of these kind of look purple from the front, but you don't really notice until they're coming at you from the side. And then you really get the full view of what they look like. You can see a lot more greens down in this mix down here. More wilds. It's kind of a jungle in here right now. All this Ludwigia is just kind of dropping roots. So I've just kind of let it do its thing. A big pile of moss on this side, and this is where they all hang out all the time. And what we got going in here? These are some cherry shrimp that I pulled out. These are all, let's see if I can block the glare. You can see a few of them on the sponge over there. This is one of those Marina hang on the back, or hang on the front, or whatever, filters. Or not a filter, but a breeding box. So I just threw some substrate in there and some moss, and then I picked out 5 of the nicest looking reds that I had at the time and put them in here. I put them in here young, so hopefully they weren't buried before they came in and all that stuff. So a couple of snails snuck their way through this bubble tube and splattered in here. You can see some duckweed did too. But it's just got just the same kind of sponge filter that I use in all of my hang on the back filters, and I put it there so that there was enough of a gap here for water to flow out of this overflow tube. Because I tried putting just a piece of sponge right in here to stop anything from going through, but then this box would overflow and start dumping out the front, and there's nothing preventing shrimp from just going right out then. So this was the solution I came up with. This seems to work a lot better, more surface area for water to go through and leave the little tank there. These guys are still doing their thing. They're going to get their own tank eventually here. I might put them in that 20-gallon. That's the sump basically right now anyways. So we'll see. We'll see what the future holds. Not really sure. And then last but not least, well, not last I guess, but here's the Goldie, as the kids call him. Goldie the goldfish. He's very personable. Hopefully somebody's going to take him off our hands here, because it'd be nice to have him with a friend. And this is what I did with all the extra plants that I pulled out too. Here's some of the root mass you can see from this wisteria. I also cut a couple pieces off and shoved them in there. And then this is that Hydra that had like just a fist size root mass on the bottom. I shoved that in there. And this is some more Hydra, but I don't really remember what type this is. But it's never done anything in that 40-gallon breeder that it was in, so I just took it out. And yeah, this is just his temporary home for now until he gets rehomed, and then that's that. So let me take you to the last tank here, and I'll be right back. So here's our tank of Blue Star Endlers, and these ones are currently being treated for ick. I just did another water change on these and added some more Ich-X. So there's a little bit of bubble action going on in here, which I don't know why. I just changed out my whole house filtration system. Changed the filters, the carbon block filters out of that, and put new ones in. So maybe that has something to do with all the bubbles that I get. But usually I don't have that issue, so I'm not sure what's going on there yet. But that's not really a great thing. I should have off-gassed these a little bit or something first in a bucket. But I think it'll be just fine. Nobody seems to be affected by it. These guys, like I said, getting treated for ick right now. I brought in 2 different, there you go, bristlenose, albino bristlenose babies, and one of them is, oh, there's the other one, tucked itself right up here against the glass, and this one just doesn't seem to be doing as good. I'm pretty sure that's the sick one. So when I got him, I just stuck him right in this tank. Didn't think about it, just tossed them in, and well, it obviously acclimated them properly, like I always do. I always drip acclimate if I can. When I get fish like this going through the mail, I can't do that because usually they build up a pretty good amount of ammonia in the bag, and I don't remember how it works exactly, but when it's in the bag, it's fine. It doesn't have enough oxygen to turn into like toxic ammonia. But when you open the bag, as soon as you expose it to air, then all of that stuff starts turning to ammonia that can pretty much kill your fish right away. So as soon as you open the bag, you have to do something with them. So what I did was I float them all. I let them come to temperature. I let them float in the bag they came in for about an hour. And then pull the bag, plop and drop, because otherwise they're going to be sitting in their own filth. Even if you drip acclimate, you're not adding enough water right off the get-go to do anything with the ammonia that's in that bag. So that's my recommendation on when I get fish in the mail. Shrimp don't seem to have that much of an issue. I've been able to drip acclimate those. I always check the bags when they come in. So if I get a couple of bags, I'll check the first bag, you know, dump them in a viewer or whatever, one of those clear glass cups or whatever, you know. Dip and pour, I think some people call them. I pour them in there and check them out, and then I immediately dip my ammonia test and my nitrite and nitrate test, and check if there's any sort of ammonia or nitrite. Then it's dump them through a net, dump them in the tank. After, obviously, temperature acclimation. So that's a big thing. Make sure you temperature acclimate them. But most of these guys did good. They came in as small fry, just like the other endlers that I had, and yeah, they just didn't do well in shipping. That's just how it works sometimes. But I guess that's the end of this tour. I'm gonna leave it right here for now. And I guess we'll see you soon. This will probably be uploaded on July 4th. Today is the 3rd, so tomorrow I gotta work. So while I'm at work, I'll set it to upload. Give you something to watch if you watch it at all. If you do, make sure you hit that like button. And I would really appreciate it if you're watching this, hit that subscribe button. I promise I won't bore you to death with tons of videos, one right after the other, and hopefully you get something out of watching these. If you don't, well then scroll on past, I guess. But hit that like, hit that subscribe. Watch the rest of my videos. I got some pretty good information there, I think. So, alright, we'll catch you on the next one. Peace.